What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some brand new Destiny 2 news to cover in this video. Now we do have a few interesting things to talk about, so firstly, today we do have a brand new update to the game, and this comes in the form of the hotfix that was delayed on Tuesday, so we'll talk about the changes we've got there. In addition to this, Bungie break down a few additional changes that we're going to see in a future update come in, and so we'll round up all of that stuff. We'll also talk about the next Iron Banner for Destiny 2, and then Bungie talk Corridors of Time, give us a little bit of a hint towards our progress. We're going to round up some additional stuff to do with that as well in this video, so guys, as we get into this one, if you do enjoy it and you are new to the channel, then be sure to hit that subscribe button so I can keep you posted, but otherwise, let's get into it. Right, so before we jump in and talk any more about this week at Bungie updates, of course in the Corridors of Time right now, we have a pretty interesting and very complex looking puzzle, and essentially what the community are trying to do at this precise moment is decipher one much larger sequence, essentially a maze, that we could actually run through the corridors in order to reach a different timeline, and it would appear that we're looking for a very specific one. The guys who are working on this really are basically reading symbols displayed in the vault room and looking for unique sequences. Super confusing stuff to me, because I'm certainly not that clever, but for the average player, it kind of looks like we'll end up with a long sequence, kind of like the lore or emblem codes. However, Bungie did jump in and said, fractured into many pieces, the Corridors of Time need to be put back together. The solution is a marathon and not a sprint. And they have of course pointed out that players should take care of themselves, make sure they're eating and sleeping, and not trying to stay awake for 50 hours at a time or anything crazy like that. So generally, we should be prepared for this to take some time. In terms of the reward, there is still a lot of speculation as to what we're going to get. Some folks think we're going to get a new exotic, possibly a sword, and of course on the grave in the vault room in the corridors we do see a sword. In addition, big spoiler alert right here, skip ahead in the video if you don't want to learn any more about this, but apparently leaked audio does suggest that a cinematic or meeting with Saint 14 at our Guardian's grave, presumably in the future timeline, is something we're actually going to witness in the game. It also refers to a weapon being left with our Guardian, one of our Guardian's favourite weapons, but also one that was previously owned by Saint 14. And so this is why folks think the sword on the grave could indeed be the weapon that we're going to get. Obviously very interesting stuff, but all we can really do is wait and find out exactly what that reward's going to be. It's worth mentioning here as well that Bungie said in the TWAB, once again, that this one's a marathon and not a sprint, but we'll keep an eye on things, and so far we're impressed with your progress. So in a way, that is a bit of a tease that what the community are currently working on is probably the correct path to be taken. Up next, today, finally, Destiny 2 got hotfix 2.7.02. This is the one that was delayed on Tuesday, and so that's now live in the game. And for the patch notes for combat systems, they fixed an issue where Wishender's Broadhead perk was dealing more damage than intended, so unfortunately, we won't be using the overpowered version of Wishender anymore, but hopefully Bungie will take the feedback from players about how well the weapon has been performing, and potentially look at some other bows and stuff in the future. On top of this though, equipping both a fusion rifle scavenger mod and a linear fusion rifle scavenger mod will no longer cause heavy ammo to be gained from special ammo boxes. That's definitely a big problem to solve. And on top of this, using Telesto with the heavy-handed obelisk mod will no longer generate unintentional extra special ammo. So, of course, the projectiles themselves were actually detonating and being able to provide special ammo, which was pretty broken. And that's not going to be a thing anymore, so bear those in mind. But also, we have changes for activities, rewards, Eververse, and bounties. So they fixed the problem that would cause the European Dead Zone obelisk not to actually interact, so we shouldn't have any issues trying to access that one. They also fixed a problem that could cause the Sundial reward currency to be issued to players twice, and then the Eververse waypoint notification has been disabled, and the Season 9 Seasonal Starter Bundle will no longer appear as owned for players who bought the Season 8 Season Starter Bundle. For bounties, the Gunsmith Weekly Destination Bounty will be re-enabled and properly rotate weekly instead of daily, and then Crucible Daily Bounties will now rotate daily. And so those are all of the changes for the hotfix. I'll link those patch notes down below. And of course you can find all of these details in the TWAB article, which is also linked below. Next though, in This Week at Bungie, they talk about Iron Banner, and they say that the Dawning has come to a close, and that clears up some room in the tower for Lord Saladin to return and kick off the next event. So Iron Banner, as well as Valor bonuses inside of the Crucible, will kick off at 9 AM PST on January 21st, so that's the normal weekly reset time. And as always, that'll run up until 9 AM PST on January 28th. So, of course, plenty of opportunities for pinnacle gear, good stat rolls, mods, and all of that kind of stuff. But Bungie do also say that based on feedback collected during the first Iron Banner from this season, we'll be auto-completing everyone through the portion of the quest that requires rocket launcher defeats. We weren't able to deploy a change to this step, but we can complete it for anyone who hasn't already done so, and this gives us time to consider changing or removing this step for next season. So essentially they can't add a further update to the game that actually adjusts the requirement for that, but for anyone who hasn't already done that step of the quest, basically they're going to auto-complete it and let players continue from there. I'm sure players that have been stuck on that one will definitely be pleased to hear about the update, but of course it's kind of unlucky if you've already done it, and then of course Bungie will look to adjust it when we see the quest in future seasons. Now, in addition to the patch notes that we got for the hotfix today, they said initially that when that was delayed, there was a minor risk that it could have a knock-on effect for other updates, but since they've managed to get it out this week, it means that update 2.7.1 is on schedule, and here's a small preview of a few of the changes coming in it. They don't specifically refer to when we're going to get that, but in terms of the upcoming changes, for Orbit and the Director, players can now shortcut directly to their roster by selecting their empty Fireteam slots, or by invoking the roster shortcut on the Director map screens. So that's a good quality of life update. On top of this, when an activity is selected, Fireteam leaders can navigate left and right to get to quests and roster respectively, and then back to their selected activity. So those sound like useful updates. On top of this though, for weapons, Breakneck now has higher damage per second at Rampage ×1 and ×2, and so it goes from 2170 and 2120 to 2190 and 2410. So hopefully that will offset the Rampage adjustment that really kind of obliterated Breakneck previously. We'll see how it pans out. But in addition to this, the screen shake on hard light firing has been adjusted as well. And so that update we were expecting potentially in the future is going to be part of that hotfix. Finally, for armor, several class item armor mods will now correctly provide diminishing returns when multiple copies of the mod are equipped. So these mods include Perpetuation, Innovation, Invigoration, Insulation, and Absolution. And then Grenade Launcher Scavenger will no longer award special ammo for grenade launchers when the player picks up primary ammo bricks, so minor bug fix on that front. And so that is going to be the next update that we get to the game. In addition to this, for tracked known issues, Bungie say they are keeping their eye on Armor 2.0 Transcendent Blessing mods which aren't appearing in player inventories, an issue where transitioning between areas in the Pit of Heresy dungeon may result in unintentional character death. They do add that this won't prevent players from completing flawless dungeon runs. But then the Sundial Fractaline Extractor 3, obtained from Nessus Obelisk, incorrectly states an increased chance to find polarized Fractaline when completing strikes, but the enhancement actually increases the chance to find the currency when completing the Sundial and Menagerie. And so those are just a few additional things that they're keeping their eye on at the moment. Now though, let's round up some additional bits of news. Firstly, Bungie did say that due to a pricing error earlier in the week, they had to remove the Solar subclass emotes on the Eververse featured page. You can still purchase them in the seasonal tab, and DMG said that after a quick investigation, the team discovered the ones on the featured page were actually up for 800 silver, whereas the seasons page had them for 500 silver. So for any folks who purchased the more expensive versions, they say that they will follow up with affected players at a later date who purchased the emotes at the incorrect price. So that's something to remember. But DMG said on the subject of menu lag in the game that they're still sending reports over to the team, and he believes that they're in the process of investigating further performance issues. So they're still waiting to give updates on that. They're also passing along feedback that the reputation granted from telemetry data doesn't feel appropriate, and also that some highly desirable ghost shells in the game have undesirable perks, so just a few additional things that they're actually taking note of. Cosmo also confirmed that they're currently working on a fix for the issue where players can't see who's online in a clan roster on PC. So if you have been affected by that, it's taken a little bit of time, but they are actively working on solving that problem. So a few little updates and things to remember for the game right there. And finally, Bungie have now revealed the Guardians for Australia t-shirt. So as Guardians, it's our duty to assist those in need, and to support the Australia fire relief efforts, all proceeds of the new Guardians for Australia shirt and emblem are going to go towards the New South Wales fire rescue and other support services for the current crisis. So absolutely, if you can, it's really worth supporting that cause. And you'll notice the kind of design style of the shirt right there. Obviously, it's a really cool design, but it comes in the style very similar to the Guardians for Nepal shirt that we had a few years ago. So definitely, if you can support that cause, absolutely do. And of course, our thoughts are with everybody affected by that down in Australia. For the greater good of humanity and planet Earth, it absolutely is something that we really don't want to see continue to happen or go on any longer. So if there's anything that we can do to attempt to contribute to stopping that, then I think we absolutely should. But For now, guys, that's going to round up the video for today. And so if you have enjoyed this one, a rating below is very much appreciated. Of course, all of the appropriate links, Bungie's updates, Guardians for Australia, and other sources will be in the description below. Be sure to give us any of your thoughts on what we've covered in the video. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so I can keep you up to date. But otherwise, guys, thanks as always for tuning in. And whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.